Welcome back to Wizard Supercoach. Hope you're all having a nice weekend. Not stressing too hard about Supercoach. I guess nobody should be at this time of year, but I know there's a lot of people putting in research, and now I am myself. You might recall in my last video that I said I wasn't really feeling it this year or towards the end of last year for whatever reasons. There is many, but yeah, I hope that by doing that first video it might reignite the fire, and it definitely has. I've been doing a bit of number crunching and stuff over the weekend, so real nuffy nerdy kind of stuff, but that's the game for you. So yeah, again, in the first video you probably recall that I was looking at fading McRae because I think it's a pretty unique opportunity here that I haven't really seen in other years, where the forward line, and I guess this goes for any line, you don't really see it often. Pretty much every team that I'm seeing, or close to, is the same 5 or 6 players. So everyone's running Horne-Francis, Smith, McRae, Caleb Daniel, Philippou, and Hewitt is normally the 6th one. I get the feeling he could change, but yeah. So what that does is presents a pretty unique opportunity, I think, that if you just fade one of those players, or you gamble on the one that you think you can go against the pack on, you just need to find a player that's cheaper or around the same price, and if they outscore them, well, there you go, you got a leg up on the pack. So that's what the game is all about. I guess also what you could do is you could go the extra rookie in the forward line and pick a similarly priced player on another line, but that's for another video. I'll just keep it more simple here. So yeah, I have done a bit of number crunching with the use of DFS. If you don't use it, then you should be, because I couldn't imagine playing the game without it anymore. It's just got a ridiculous amount of info for free on there. So yeah, I did think McRae was the one to possibly target and fade, but after doing a bit of research, I think it might actually be Bailey Smith, the safer one. Now, McRae kind of shocked me because, I talked about the eye test and how important it is, and it definitely is. And I thought that he was done. Like, he just looked slow. It seemed to me that it didn't matter if he was still getting CBA like high percentage, he wasn't scoring. But it's not exactly true. So what I've done here is for both of these players, I've included only the games where they've gotten 40% CBAs and above, and obviously they haven't been subbed or been subbed. So McRae actually has done pretty well when he has got 40% or more. Now, the 40% CBAs is key here, because you would expect at St Kilda he's going to get them. I guess that's what everyone's banking on anyway. If he's not, then I wouldn't even pick him. But if he is, he scores pretty well by the look of this. So round 3 this year obviously wasn't so good. A 59. He's probably fed up with Bevo by that point and feeling on the outer already. So, we can write that one off. But then round 23 of last year, that wasn't great either. 63% time on ground. I think he had a rib injury though, from memory. I don't know if he got subbed or anything. Yeah, but 63% time on ground is pretty low for him. So from then on, if you go back, he scored pretty damn well. If you don't take that, there's 108 average over that year in those games where he got the 40% or above. So yeah, that's pretty decent. That's what you'd be wanting. So if you want him, look, if you're picking him even just to make the 150k, he needs to average like 100 anyway to make that. I don't know why you'd be betting on him to be a cash cow. You're either picking him as a keeper or not at all, I think. But yeah, it shows that I think he can still do it. He just needs to get that percentage of CBAs up. Maybe the time on ground could go up a little. That would be nice. But yeah, he still scores okay, seemingly, with the CBAs. So that's what you want. So I guess I was probably wrong so far in like looking at this research. Yeah, gut feel still is that he's not going to be what people think, but I think he's not a bad pick. Bailey Smith, on the other hand, he's the one that I would feel safer in fading. We know he's a butcher of the ball. There's the ACL factor, which I think nobody really is paying enough attention to, because players, like we've seen great players do ACLs and they come back and they're never the same again. Obviously some players come back and they're even better. Bit of a luck of the draw. But yeah, there's the belief that Smith wasn't getting CBA or high percentage CBAs at the Bulldogs, and that was what was affecting his score. But as you can see here, it's actually not quite true. There was quite a lot of games here where he was receiving a decent percentage of centre bounce attendances, and he wasn't scoring that great in them. So obviously he's got less tons here than McRae. And again, I've done the 2-year window to keep it even. And it's 40% CBAs or above, obviously. So yeah, not as many tons here. And there's a pretty tight correlation. Just, I don't know, I didn't put any extra research into this, but just looking with the naked eye, it's a pretty tight correlation between his score and his time on ground. Now you can say most players are like that, but the truth is they're not. So when you look at the big scores here, the thing that stands out is that they're 90% plus time on ground. Now, what worries me there is that the ACL, first year back from the ACL, are Geelong going to play him 90% time on ground after an ACL, or are they going to ease him back into it? So you got to look at that at the start of the year. That might hurt you. Could he even be one to bring in later? I don't know. He's probably not going to lose money, but I can't see him rocketing up. And I mean, Geelong, Chris Scott, he loves to throw things around. I don't think, without looking, I don't think that Geelong players are exactly well known for having high time on ground. I think they share it around a lot, which is frustrating to watch. But, that's the way they do it, and you can't argue when they've been pretty successful. But yeah, I think this definitely presents like a bit of a different picture about Smith. Let me know what you think in the comments, but yeah, I'm not convinced at all. So, with that in mind, well, actually, let's just have a look for a second. His 2023 total average was only 80. And he played basically the full season there. So, that was with these games with the high CBAs. And he's averaged 86 with 40% or above. So, yeah, a bit of a worry. If he's scoring 86, he's not going to be top 6 to 8 forward. And he's not going to make enough to be a cash cow. So yeah, proceed with caution. I'm not here to tell you what to do though. I mean, I'm not saying don't pick him. I'm just saying be cautious. There's a lot of groupthink in Supercoach, especially this time of year. I think people get FOMO big time, like fear of the pack getting ahead without you. But it's not true at all. You can fade certain players. You can do it without them. Like even Bont, But anyway, so if Smith is the one that I'm looking at fading, and I'm not saying I'm going to, I'm just looking at it. He's the one I've kind of identified as the most likely target. Then who do you replace him with? Now, you could go a rookie and then put someone of a similar price on another line. But we'll talk about that in another video. So we'll keep it to the forwards. So we'll have a look now. Now here they are, the 6 I'm looking at. Now, before anyone thinks I'm absolutely insane, I'm going to explain the Jack Silvani one and why he's there. No, he's not actually a viable replacement, I think, for Smith or whoever you might target. The only reason I've included him, it was kind of like, a little note to the side, but I think he is the key to the Tom De Koning pick, so I'll get to that one later. Now, Baker's first. I'm not saying to pick him. I think we'd need to see, a lot come out of the West Coast coach's mouth about where he's going to play exactly. The only way I'm going to consider him is if he got that plum distributor role of half back, because it's West Coast. The ball's going to be down there a lot, you'd think. If it's not that, then I'm not interested. So that's the only reason why he's there. And he's, what's he, about 50,000 more than Smith and McRae. So I wouldn't seriously look at him anyway, but, it's the forward line. There's not a hell of a lot to go with. Kennedy, for me, is the interesting one. He's a tiny bit more expensive than them, so what, about 20k more expensive. Let's have a look at his numbers then. Now you can see that I've included Luke Parker as well here. So Kennedy and Parker. I've seen a few suggest Parker as as an alternative. Don't mind it too much. But let's look at Kennedy for now. So again, with both of these, it's 40% CBAs or above. Kennedy's not too bad of a scorer actually when he does get a run at it. Now whether he's going to get a permanent spot in that Bulldogs midfield, I don't know, and that's what we'd be looking for. And again, like Baker, you'd need some kind of guarantee from the coach, I think. It is Bevo, so that's a worry. But you think that Bont, Libba and Treloar are going to be the starting three, and then Kennedy might be in that second lot. I don't know. But anyway, when he does get the CBAs, he doesn't score too bad. So if we look at this year alone, last year, 2024, when he has got the CBAs, so averaged 68% CBAs when he did go over 40, and his time on ground was 79. He's averaged 96 points, which is pretty good. Again, you'd have to be selecting him as a keeper because it doesn't quite make enough for the 150 or, whatever you're going for there. Some people think it's lower. I still go with the golden rule of 150. And then in 2023, he scored an average of 86, but he's had the less CBAs. So yeah, averages 90 here after the last 2 years with these numbers. So he's not the worst pick, but yeah, you'd need some kind of guarantee to look at him, I think. But yeah, one to keep in mind, one to keep an eye on. Say if Libba or Treloar got injured, then yeah, I would seriously look at Kennedy. Now, Parker, he's a bit like McRae for me. The eye test says that he's slowed down. He's not quite there. I don't think he would be in North's starting midfield. Like, you would think that would be Sheezer, Wardlaw and LDU. So obviously he's going to get less CBA percentage than what he was getting in 2023, which was quite crazy, 77%. The worry there is he only averaged 96, but he had this crazy run. I think you could select him as a forward back then. And a lot of people did jump on him. So from round 4 to 19 here, he went nuts, averaged 106. But yeah, it's pretty average outside of that. So, yeah, what is his role going to be? Again, that's always the question. As I said, he's probably not going to be a starting mid. And even if he is, can he still score like that? Probably not. Judging by, since that run there, he's kind of declined. It's not like he was getting low time on ground. I know he had a pretty interrupted year this year. But yeah, he wasn't scoring too well. Playing half forward or whatever, Sydney. I don't have the numbers here in front of me, but that's probably where he's going to be playing, I would say, for North, because their midfield's pretty good. Like, they've got all those young kids that have good potential. They got LDU in there. What they probably need is a bit of leadership up forward. So that's where I see him. But again, if not, same as Kennedy, same as Baker. If they get the role we want, they're worth looking at. So we'll go back now. So because of the Parker stats being there with the Kennedy, I've skipped one. Darcy Wilson. Now, you would need absolute balls of steel to pick this guy, I think. Oh, we skipped 2 actually, sorry. Yeah, you'd need balls of steel to pick Wilson. He reminds me of Golden though. He's getting higher time on ground percentage. He's just won the 3K time trial for the Saints. So, you would think that his time on ground's only going to increase as he gets a little bit older. Looks like a pretty smooth mover up there. Mostly plays on the wing, half forward, whatever. So, he had a few games there. His first few games he scored, it was early on. I think he had like a 3-week run where he scored really well and kind of trailed off from there a bit, but he does remind me of Golden, so I could see him breaking out and averaging like 90, which at that price it would just about get you the 150, and it would probably put him in. I mean, if we go by 2024 here, barring any DPP stuff, that puts him probably inside the top 8. So I think St Kilda are going to be pretty exciting this year, which is not really something you hear often with a team coached by Ross Lyon, but here we are. So yeah, as I said, you need absolute balls of steel though to pick Wilson, I think. But again, he's definitely one to watch. He could just explode in the preseason, and if he does, well, you heard it here first. Now, the last proper viable pick, I think, if you watch the first video, you'll see that he is currently in my team, is Riley Thilthorpe. Now, I know that he's a key forward, so that probably goes against him a little bit in most people's minds. But he does play that backup ruck position. I mean, Riley O'Brien doesn't really need to chop out too much, so it's not a huge percentage of CBAs or anything. But it's, it helps. So I think he's going to break out. Like, he was really high draft pick, number 2. I think they picked him technically at 1 or something, didn't they? Oh no, that was Hugh Hagen was number 1, academy player, of course. Anyway, Thilthorpe was their first pick, so he come back after the ACL this year, 2024. Again, I keep saying that. He came back after the ACL. He looked like an absolute beast. He'd been in the gym. He averaged 94 across the last 4 games, and they were all losses as well, I'm pretty sure, so pretty impressive, really. So, you'd expect that he might spend a little bit more time in the ruck now that he's not just freshly back from the ACL. I can see him going up 90 plus. So he'd be a keeper in that scenario. But he'd be a really good point of difference, because I don't think anyone really is even thinking about him. But yeah, all he's got to do, really, the thing with all these players that I'm discussing, all they've got to do is outscore McRae or Smith or whoever it is out of those, those typical forwards that everyone's choosing, and you're on your way. So the last one here, he's different. He's not actually a choice, but I thought I'd discuss him anyway. So Jack Silvani is the key to the De Koning pick, I think, Tom De Koning. We don't want Pitnet to play, obviously, if you're going to pick Tom De Koning, and currently I am. So Silvani is the one, I think, that if you look before he got injured, I think he did the ACL, didn't he? He was playing backup ruck. He'd pinch hit in the ruck there. And Mackay, I think, has been doing it a bit. But if you're Carlton, you're going to want to keep Mackay close to goal and have someone else in the ruck, because, it just makes sense. If you got Curnow and Mackay close to goal, that's a bit of a nightmare. So Silvani comes in, he can play forward, Pitnet can't, and then Silvani is the pinch hitter. So that's the only reason I've got him there, but it's kind of weird that he's probably going to be a key piece to the Supercoach puzzle without actually scoring himself, if you know what I mean. His best ever in a season, I think he averaged 74. So in terms of an actual pick, he'd have to go like career best season to make you 150k if you were even thinking of picking him, which I wouldn't be. So yeah, I thought it was going to be a quick video, but it's blown out to nearly 20 minutes, of course. Just discussing the forward line and where I think that you can get a bit of an advantage on the pack. You really have to take advantage of that FOMO that most people have. It's taken me quite a few years to realise that this game is all about beating the pack. It's not about picking the top 8, top 6 on every line, because, the percentage is so low. All you got to do is beat the pack. It depends what they're doing and what you do in relation to what they're doing. I think getting a bit philosophical here, which I don't really like to do, but yeah, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching. Hopefully you got something out of it. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you think I'm insane, just tell me. Like and subscribe too. I mean, these videos take a little bit of effort. It's nice to know people appreciate them and it's worth it. But yeah, again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.